All right, what's up guys? This is the 2024 YZ250X. This is the Enduro Ready 252 stroke from Yamaha. This is not a ton of anything new on this bike. It was redesigned in 2022 when it was updated for the new model year. But for 2024, we're in Union, South Carolina at the Am-Pro Yamaha headquarters, putting this thing to some real life GNCC testing. We're gonna tell you how it was after we just finished an absolutely epic 2 days of riding on the Yamaha 250X. Okay, so for $8,099, you're gonna have the YZ250X. This bike that we're standing in front of here is the GYTR Power Package, whatever you wanna call it. This bike has a ton of accessories from Yamaha. This is not stock. You'll have to add these onto your bike afterwards. But the bike that you're gonna get is heavily based on the Yamaha YZ250 two-stroke. That bike was redesigned or redone in 2022. New bodywork, new intake, updated engine settings, suspension settings, things like that. So for 2024, the bike is not all new, but they do have some here for us to ride, and we've had an absolute blast riding these things. You're gonna have a 249cc carbureted two-stroke single cylinder dirt bike. This is what Yamaha's had since 2005 or 6. Aluminum frame. The bike is tried and true. It's been around. If it's not broke, don't fix it. That's Yamaha's mentality here. You have some of the other two-strokes in the class going fuel injected, taking out the carburetors. These guys are sticking true. There's also still no electric start, so you are gonna be kickstarting this thing. Not a huge deal if it's what you're used to. It's only really when you've been jumping back and forth on bikes that seems to become a big deal. The biggest differences between the X and the 250 regular motocross version is the 18-inch rear wheel, a kickstand, a bigger 1.8 gallon fuel tank, and softer suspension settings. You're not gonna get a ton of big updates in the transmission or the mapping settings, obviously, like you do on the 450FX or the 250FX. But this bike is still Yamaha's offering for riders who wanna ride enduro trails, off-road, cross-country, desert riding. You're gonna get softer suspension settings, that 18-inch rear wheel, but still the same power of the YZ250 two-stroke. Speaking of power, this bike is fast. When it was redesigned in 2022, they updated the intake, so you'll see there's no venting or air in the side of the number plates. It all comes from the back fender here. So this is where the bike's gonna suck the air from, and when it was redesigned in 2022, I really liked that styling. It helped the bottom end of the power. It wasn't as pipey from the low end. It didn't require you to ride the bike so hard. You could actually lug it a little bit more. It was a little bit smoother, kind of like how the KTM with the fuel injection is a lot smoother and less punchy. This bike is still more punchy than that, but less punchy than it used to be. So it's a nice, fun bike to ride. We took this thing out. We got some motocross track here. We have some off-road trails. If you wanna ride a bike and have some fun and let this thing sing, this is the bike to do it on. It's super fun. You're gonna weigh in at 229 pounds fully fueled, so still lighter than the 450. You're able to bounce this thing around with the softer suspension settings, set it into the ruts, stand up over the logs and hops that you need to do. This isn't the slowed down version of a YZ250. This is not a WR. It doesn't have a spark arrestor or anything detuned in the engine. It's still the heart of a YZ250 motocross bike, just with some added settings for off-road riding. This is still gonna be the guy that wants to race NGPC, GNCC, Hare and Hound, Sprint Enduros. You're probably gonna opt for this bike with the off-road rear wheel setup, the kickstand, the softer suspension settings. You'll probably wanna buy this bike rather than building one off a YZ250. It still rips. It still sounds super good in the woods. When you get on it and let that pipe sing, this is like, it's a classic 252 stroke. It's nothing fancy. You don't get, like I said, you don't get the fuel injection of a KTM or the gas or anything like that. It's the tried and true carburetor. You're gonna have to tune it at different elevations. If you're gonna ride this thing up in the mountains, you're gonna have to do some tuning. There's no electric start, which would be really nice. But if you want a tried and true bike, $8,099, so almost sub 8 grand. You're gonna get a really good package. And since this bike has been around for so long, it's still the same motor that Yamaha's had. There's a ton of aftermarket parts for it, whether you're going GYTR or you're going stuff from the factories, or you're going FMF or whoever you're picking for your exhaust and pipes and anything like that. There's so much stuff to do to these bikes. It's cheaper to race maybe if you're gonna go for this instead of a 250F, There's, like I said, a ton of aftermarket parts for you to find. They're easy to find, they're cheap to find. You're not gonna be running out of stuff, you know, the night before, or if you're gonna be racing on a budget, it's hard to beat a 252 stroke. They're reliable, parts are easy to find, it's easy to rebuild. You can do a top end in the night at home. A normal guy can, I can. Maybe not on a 4-stroke, right, on a 250F. So finding parts for these things are easy, rebuilding it's easy. It's a tried and true 252 stroke, it's fun to ride. If you haven't ridden a 2-stroke in a while, I'd highly suggest finding a Yamaha YZ250 or 250X. You can find those through the Jason Rains Riding Academy, which is super cool because those guys are bringing bikes to tracks near you so you can actually ride this bike before purchasing. It's a really cool feature that Yamaha has. So I highly suggest jumping on a 2-stroke, whether it's the 125 or the 250, 250X, 125X. There's so many bikes to choose from, and it's hard to beat a platform that's been around so long like the Yamaha YZ250. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been a wrap from our trip to Union, South Carolina, riding with the Am-Pro Yamaha guys. 2024 Yamaha off-road bikes are out now. You're gonna have the 125X, the 250X, and the all-new 450FX. You'll be able to find a full test on all these bikes in the Cycle News magazine, where you can check out photos, videos, spec sheets, prices, an in-depth look at the bikes. You can find that at cyclenews.com for free every Monday night. We do a digital magazine. If you guys haven't checked that out, I highly suggest it. It's totally free, 50 times a year. Check it out, support the brands that support us and allow us to come do these awesome bike tests like this. All right, thanks guys so much. We'll see you guys out on the trails.